KKHT wants you to meet three of the classiest guys in real estate.
I am Chris Kelso, the maestro of mortgage.
I am Rob Cook, the godfather of real estate.
And I'm Joe Orsack, the king of credit swing. And together, we're
the Real Estate Rat Pack.
Much like us, real estate right now is smoking hot. So whether it's buying, selling, or owning, you need to check out the Real Estate Rat Pack.
They're here to take your calls and answer your questions live. Call now, 1-800-808-5548. And now, the Real Estate Rat Pack.
Every week.
Every
week.
The wolf call. Stop.
It's the wolf call. It fits with the Rat Pack.
Exactly. It's the wolf call of the Rat Pack.
Yeah.
Is that
You know, Rob, if we get you in, we go from being stereo to 3D.
I would like to give a modicum of dignity.
Like we ever had one of those.
Yeah, exactly right. You rolling into the studio after a midnight binge that you had with the tie undone.
Well, you know
just
where that
fit
comes
the image
from, the wolf call?
Where?
Many years ago, my wife and I go to the Renaissance Festival every year. It's a tradition for us. It was our first big date together, starting back in 1993, and we've been every year since then.
Right.
And these two guys walk up, and they look like French swordsmen. They've got the big hats on, the rapiers and all this sort of thing. They go, "My lord, may we woo your lady?" And I went, "Yeah, I guess so." And they both go, "Woo!"
I like that. That's really good.
So the trick now is how do we work that into real estate? Huh?
That is correct. That is
So there we
correct.
go.
I'm going to do a quick shout out to Lisa Peterson, who's a very dear friend of ours, and Vaughn Peterson, who is one of our sponsors of our events, Clean Air. It was her birthday, and we celebrated last night and had a great night. So once again, Lisa, happy birthday.
Happy birthday.
29
to you.
years young.
Yes, indeed.
29
and
years
they're
young.
all out paintballing. I'm supposed to join them
Paintballing.
this afternoon.
And Rob is going
Paintballing. I like
paintballing.
that.
I have never been paintballing.
Never.
Yes.
Never.
Oh, it's a lot of fun.
And another
Let me
one
tell
of
you.
our regular cigar guys, Speedy Post, a phenomenal company, Liam, who is an extremely regular paintballer and quite masterful at it. Rob was inquiring what he should wear, and he says, "Should I wear a long sleeve shirt?" And Liam says, "Well, I'm not, but you should."
Do you want your bruises to show or not? That's really the question.
Be afraid, be very afraid. Well, we got a great show today.
Absolutely. We always have a great show.
We have a great show. And Joe, you invited on a company called 243 Builders.
Yes.
And so if you would do introductions, and then
Absolutely.
we might get started with this show.
Well, a good friend of mine in the real estate community, Quinn Long out there. If you're listening, Quinn, I don't know, you were gonna make it, but then stuff happened. And anyway, so giving a shout out to Quinn for introducing me to some wonderful folks, Brian, Chris, and Matt from 243 Builders. And got to look at the website and said, "Wow, these guys do some good work." And we're a big fan of having builders on, and especially when it's a local business that we can help promote and then doing good work. So we wanted to have them on and talking about what they're going to do. So
welcome, guys.
welcome.
Welcome aboard.
And so I always like to start with this. And Brian, you actually own 243 Builders, correct?
Yes,
okay. You were with Lindbeck Construction Partners, who they are huge. They're a huge. How did you get interested in doing construction in the first place?
Something I just always grew up doing with my dad around the house, or Habitat for Humanity, or just any of those little types of things. I just always enjoyed putting stuff together and wanted to do that going through college, and went straight to Lindbeck and had a great time.
Well, Lindbeck's known for building, huge structure. You were saying before we started the show that you had built a cathedral, a hospital, and what else had you built?
We did. Chris and I built some dorms. We've built mansions in River Oaks. We've done proton therapy centers, just you name it. So
I was thinking, we need a good proton therapy center.
Yeah, that is correct. Just the other day, Kim and I were saying, what would look good in the backyard? Proton Therapy Center.
Of all the jobs we did at Lindbeck, that was
Either
one
that
of
or
the
a
most
waterfall.
rewarding, because I don't know how much you know about it, and this has nothing to do with your show.
Pretty
but,
much. No. Well,
none,
obviously
so
we
keep
don't
going.
mind getting off subject.
Well, no medical expert, obviously, but it's a way to treat cancer in hard to reach spots.
Oh, awesome.
For people who don't qualify for surgery, so elderly or children. So it's a machine that spins these atoms super fast and separates the protons, and then you can control when that proton releases its energy. So they set the depth of a tumor in a small child in his brain or something like that. And then
Wow.
can treat these people. So of all the projects we've done, just thinking about the application of that, it was pretty neat.
I'm not familiar with that technology at all.
Yeah, I was reading about that technology a couple years ago. In fact, one of the hospitals up on the north side actually went into one of their centers that actually showed it right there. And it was really interesting because, it has, like you said, it's spinning. What they're able to do is they connect basically your arteries up to this machine, basically. And then they're able to control where this proton actually goes in and then releases, for lack of a better word, the chemo or whatever it needs to be right there to be able to treat that area. A lot of times it's very hard to reach places, if it's, in areas of the brain, as you mentioned right there, or some areas of the body that you can't really get to through any type of surgery.
And especially if it's elderly or young, I mean, it's an invasion of the body, so it's a trauma anytime you open it up. So that sounds like a great way to take.
So you go
great
from
point,
Dr.
Kelso.
Yeah, you go from building something to save individuals to now putting individuals into residential properties and make them happy.
That's right.
So how'd you get into actually? What made y'all decide after doing all these big projects, obviously working over there in a commercial side of things, saying I want to get into the residential side? Just because I know why I did it. I used to be in the commercial side as far as personal business, and I ended up getting into the residential lending and have thoroughly enjoyed it. What was that change like for you, and what prompted it?
Chris and I both had some discussions at Limbeck and really just wanted to own our own business and looked at what we were qualified to do and said, hey, let's give residential a shot. Our roots are pretty humble beginnings. We said, hey, how are we going to convince someone to let us build a house? So, well, we better do something small first. So we just started taking any and every job we could find. So we swapped toilets out for people. We painted rooms. We built decks. I think we even put a baby crib together one day. Like,
well, then I could qualify then because I put your table together and put a pergola together for the
Is it still
Petersons.
standing?
It's still standing so far. Yes.
Awesome.
Yes,
has it made it through a hurricane season? Okay. And so, we just said anything anybody wants us to do, we'll do. And slowly those jobs and those requests started getting bigger and bigger. And people asked us to remodel a bathroom or do an addition onto their house. And pretty soon it was people asking us to actually build a house. And so once that happened, it was off and running.
One of the things we talked about, the theme of the show is start small and think big. Yep. And, that's one of the things that I think is very important. I talk to everybody about there all the time is no matter what you do, whether it be home building, whether it be rocket science, whether it be anything in between, always be willing to get your hands dirty. Because let me tell you, some of the most rewarding experiences you can find are in some of the smallest things, mundane things that you think that no one else wanted to do, that you actually end up finding some excellence through. And as you mentioned right there, you end up doing the things that are the smaller opportunities that build into a lot bigger opportunities right there.
And, I identify with a small business. I was a small home builder back in the 80s. I built custom homes in Sweetwater. So I identify with small companies. There's a lot of advantages to a small company. First of all, you always get to deal with the owner.
Yep.
So you're not passing that buck off to somebody else. You need to talk to this department. But you can talk to me if there's an issue going on or if you need a change order, things like that. I mean, there's a lot of advantages. It's more of a personal relationship building with a small company.
I was a small home builder back in FFA. I mainly focused on dog houses.
Well, I bet you thought you'd never get to work that into a conversation.
Yes, I've waited years for that joke.
Wow.
Brian, where in the world did you guys come up with the name 243 Builders?
Yeah, and I was going to ask that same question because normally it's 234, so somehow dyslexia got in there. So
we will get people sending emails to 234 Builders, and they don't go through. So it's a good question. It's a reference to Proverbs 24:3, which says that with wisdom a house is built. So we're trying to do this with a little bit of wisdom, and most days we do. And it's a reference that means something to the three of us being believers, and it gives us the opportunity to introduce that into conversations and talk to people, and they'll ask questions just like that, like what's that mean, and why do you have that? And so it's been good for a bunch of different reasons. That, and it's it's different from just Joe Blow Builder, and helps you stand out.
Watch out for the Joe references.
Sorry to your average Joe.
Yeah, not your average Joe. He's Joe Blow. No, but that's great, though. We're on the Christian radio station.
Yeah.
Obviously, it's something that all three of us take very important as well. And it's building.
As hard as
upon
that may be to believe.
We are the bad boys of
Exactly.
Christian radio.
We don't
the bad
judge.
boys of Christian radio.
Boys of Christian radio.
But
How
one
bad
of the
can that
things
actually be?
we talk about all the time is do unto others as you want them to do unto
Sure.
you. That's a very good philosophy to have on the building side of things.
Yep.
Because at the end of the day, what you want to end up doing is you want to end up building quality product, with wisdom, as you mentioned right there, and be able to have a good, strong conversation back and forth. When someone engages you, what does that engagement look like? How do they approach you, and how do you come about earning their business as far as that goes?
You talking about from the client side? One of the things, and I'll go back to that. One of the things that we've seen that the name has done is just with our workers and our subcontractors to see that we're different, and so we want to put those two together and be different in how we manage them and how we give them work and how we work together and to collaborate with them instead of overlord and demand how we work. And so we want them to see, and we want them to ask, why are you guys different? Why are you patient with us? Why are y'all accepting when we make mistakes and patient in helping us fix those? And so that can then lead into a conversation. Well, you know what? Hey, we're Christians, and that's how we feel called to run a business. And let me tell you about that.
Yeah, it's a great way to. I actually
love
had
it.
a business coach client. He wasn't my business coach, but he was business coaching was his business, and I'd done several transactions with him, and he referred a lot of people to me. And I was at one of his presentations, and he looked at me and goes, Rob, why do you think I chose you? And I said, well, because I'm knowledgeable about the area. He said, nah, it had nothing to do with it. He says, I felt safe.
Mm-hmm.
People want to feel safe, especially when they're talking about the biggest decision in their lifetime. Most likely, it's going to be that home. And if you're building a memorial like we talked about earlier, you might be talking about $2, $3, $4 million home. You want to have somebody with some integrity who's going to be honest with you. Are you going to be perfect? No. In fact, I'll tell you right up front, we're not going to be perfect.
Sure.
We're going to make mistakes.
Yeah.
But you know what? We're going to own those mistakes, and it's how people handle that error.
Right.
On that note, since we're kind of on this subject, I was ordained in 1998, which a lot more people know now than just prior.
But 40,000 people know now. About 2 seconds ago. they didn't.
And honestly, I don't talk about it a whole lot. In a sense of in the business community, I've always kind of taken what I refer to as the St. Francis approach, and preach the gospel daily, use words when necessary. Mm-hmm. Do you find any challenges on that? In other words, there are plenty of people out there that throw the Christian moniker around and the cross around as a sales tool. Yeah,
and that's something we try to avoid. The name isn't over the top. But it's there enough that if you have a question about it, then we certainly want to talk to you about it. We do. That's something that Matt and Chris and I have all discussed is to be careful to not use that as a sales tool. I mean, it seems a little bit tacky.
Right.
It's disingenuous a lot of times. If someone comes forward and says that I'm a Christian, so therefore you should do business with me, I'm thinking.
It's
okay.
usually a good sign to run.
I almost like, okay, grab my wallet and run the other way. So, it's not the fact that you're Christian; it's the fact that people use it in a very disingenuous fashion.
Sure,
correct.
Like you'll do business because this is what I believe, and it's not a good reason to do business.
Sure.
I like the choice of proverbs for that because a proverb is simply a wise saying. Mm-hmm. So it's kind of a low key approach to it. It's not like you're John 3:16 builders or something.
Right.
Apologies to John 3:16 builders.
I'm gonna go get that URL right this afternoon. I'm gonna go on GoDaddy. And I'm gonna get John 3:16 builders.
Builders. Yeah.
Someone out there right now is going, that's not a bad idea.
And speaking from experience, if it's taken, just add USA on the end of it, and you're good to go.
That is too funny. We know time flies when you're having fun, and our first quarter is almost up right now.
Wow.
So as usual, we're going to be taking a break. If you are interested in calling in, you can reach us at 800-808-5548 if you have any questions. Also, if you want to hear more or see more while we have them in the studio right now, you can actually go to 243builders.com, see a lot of their great work. And if you have any questions with them, again, give us a call. Stay tuned. We're taking a break. We'll be right back.